Hey, everybody. This is Sonya Rochelle of Sonya of Love You by Sonya Rochelle podcast. I apologize for the delay on starting tonight's live stream. It seems that I ran into some problem as I had entered the studio and everything was disappeared. So please forgive my delay. But I wanted to have a conversation with you. As you can see by the title, I relapsed and have been fighting for my life, a candid conversation. And I wanted to update you on where I've been and what's been going on with me. Um, it's unscripted and pretty casual, and we'll just see how it goes. I'm going to ask for your patience and grace as I get through this. And so, the communities that I serve are the fatherless, the motherless, those navigating and battling mood disorders, and firstborns. And those are four categories that I belong to. And what's happened with me is that I've relapsed in my mood disorder. I'm currently in active depression and have been for minimally 60 days as I can recognize it as such. That would be in May. But the truth of the matter is that it began in April, but I simply had missed the signs and didn't recognize that I was going into a depression. So I wanted to have a conversation and let you know what that feels like, what the signs are. And the hope and prayer is that those of us who struggle with a mood disorder can feel seen and heard, remove stigma and shame from it, and that we don't have to hide from it anymore. And for those who don't have, that's not your battle, and you've not been diagnosed with a mood disorder, my hope and prayers for you is that you will gain some understanding on what it is, how it impacts us, what what depression looks like. And mood disorder has two types. There is omnipolar, known as depression, and then there's bipolar, which that means that you go from mania to depression, or you can go from depression into mania. But they fall into the category of mood disorders, and some even just put it under the category of depression. So if you don't have it, I want to share with you some of the symptoms that I experience and what it's like on tonight's live stream. We're going to have a look at three videos. I'm going to need you to be patient with me because I'm still learning how to navigate this. But I've been away because I simply have not had the energy to do much of anything. And yeah, sometimes it's a struggle to even get up. Or if I'm up, I'm not able to focus, which is why I haven't been able to do any live streams, because I just can't focus on anything very long. What happens is it feels like things are just coming all together. It starts to overwhelm me. My head starts to hurt. I have to hold my head down and close my eyes like this so that I can find some sense of peace or centering myself. Um, I think what I'm going to do, there's a young lady on Instagram, and she does a skit. She suffers from a mood disorder. And I think what we'll do now is I'm going to try to bring her up on the screen. Yeah, I'm going to try to bring it up on the screen because I want you to have an idea what it's like, and we'll have a look at it in some conversation thereafter. All right. So here it is. Let's have a listen. Okay, so we're going to take a pause. I'm going to take a pause because I don't want to get my new podcast channel dinged. Part of what you see there with her hair all over her head, sitting on her bed, and then she's pretending to be someone else that's expecting something of her. She's trying to explain what she's been going through, but that other person doesn't have empathy or compassion for it. They're solely focused on what their need is from her. That's where I have been. Um, so the way my depression has been lately is that I can show up for people, but it takes a lot of energy. And then after I'm done, I'm completely drained. Uh, there are times during this period of relapse for me, what my depression has looked like is I mentioned that well, anyway, I haven't been able to keep up with my daily activities of living. And what those would be cleaning up my space, cooking, laundry, hygiene. Sleep is all thrown off, and so is eating. But there are people in my life who I have said, and they know I have a mood disorder. Um, I try to engage, but I'm a bit detached because I don't have the energy. I went to visit one of my family members, and I was holding my head, and the female person said, "What's wrong with you? Are you okay?" And I just sort of half smiled. For me, in my depression, I have a lot of headaches. I have sensitivity to noise, light, sound, and become overstimulated. Um, I have been vacillating between no sleep, so I'm sleep deprived. And then as I was visiting them, I had stayed the night, but I stayed up in the bedroom. And the person assumed that I'm lazy because I stayed in the bedroom. And that's part of the stigma that I want to dispel. People with mood disorders, um, there's a there's a misimpression that we're lazy. That isn't the case. Not lazy at all, just don't have the energy. Uh, so, anyway, I kind of feel like I'm rambling. Let's go back, and I hope that this skit showed up. I'm going to put it back on the stage, and let's take a look at it.
Oh, finally. You know that guy that I attached you pretty quickly because I'm anxiously attached, so I attached to everybody? I texted him, double texted him. It's been 18 minutes. He hasn't texted me back. He fucking hates me. He thinks I'm gross. And then my job's pissing me off again, and I hate my coworkers. Oh, and then there's me, I. You know? That felt amazing. I really needed that. Girl, do not go ghost on me again. I almost cut you off. Ho, don't threaten me with a good time. What? That sounds really tough. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you during your time of need. Yeah, it was tough. And you would have known that had you answered your phone. Anyways, how are you feeling now? Hopeless, like nothing even really matters. I wish you felt better. You aren't fun anymore. I miss the version of you that appeased me. Yeah, I'm gonna let you know when I get back to myself, but I should warn you, it could be weeks. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. And remember, if I call and you don't answer, I'm gonna take it personally. It's gonna offend me, because I care about you. Okay. Hey, what's up?
Okay. So, part of this skit, I hope that helps make some sense on what depression looks like. When she says in that skit that she's hopeless, it's those, and I have that symptom too, quite a bit, feeling hopeless. During the time of hopelessness could be a dangerous time. When she says in that skit, fighting for her life, that means that you can have suicide ideation, or they tell you not to use that word, but you can have ideation of unaliving yourself. So during those periods of hopelessness, it's a challenge because you can know rationally that this is going to pass, especially if you've been diagnosed with it for as many decades as I have. It's been 3 decades for me. But anyway, I don't really know what else to say or how to say it, but I wanted to give you some insight as to what I'm experiencing, what it's like, and to give you, as a person who may not have, and to give you some insight on not jumping to conclusions about what somebody is experiencing if they don't respond to you in the manner in which you think they should. They could be struggling in the midst of a depression or mania. And for those of you who knows that the person has been diagnosed with a mood disorder, you add to the stress and you can delay their healing. You make it more difficult for them to navigate the depression when you put demands on them that they be there for you. I know there was some, see, right now I can't focus and I lose my train of thought. And that's part of it. But I know for me, it began in April. And I could tell April and May. I had a family member who I always would be there for them, listening and advising and counseling. And we had a text exchange, and this person I thought knew my heart. They also know that I have a mood disorder. So typically when I speak, I will ground something in the scripture because I want you to know, I want us to be on the same accord with like minded understanding and context. But anyway, by text, if I say this is too much, uh, understand that's my mood disorder. A mood disorder is a disability because it does knock you off your feet, makes it difficult for you to be there for yourself, let alone for others. Um, Fighting for your life. I don't know what else to say. I think that little skit is pretty much, it speaks for itself. What I want to do is I want to tell you that the format of what my hope and goal was for this channel may change. I had originally said that I would be releasing episodes weekly. However, my system may not tolerate that. Mood disorders are unpredictable. Stress can bring it on. Um, when I By the time that I fully recognized that I was in depression was when I looked around my space and saw that I had not done laundry in over a month and a half. That in my kitchen, I had used every piece of dishes and utensils they had piled up in the kitchen sink. That I was no longer sleeping in my bed, but I was sleeping on the sofa. That I had not left my space. So when I was no longer opening the blinds. Um, and so because I recognized when my space is disorderly, yeah, that means I'm in a depression. That's when I recognized that I had relapsed, but I was already in it. What are some triggers for me? Not knowing who my biological father is and dealing with that. I think during the first 3 episodes in preparing for that, and you can go back through and look at it, I think those were triggers as well. That might have helped to my relapse. I think what I want to do now is I want to give you all some insight on 3 signs um, that most depressed people have. And it's by Dr. Tracy Marks. She's a psychiatrist and she does mental health videos and she's been very helpful. So I want you all to look at it and hopefully it gives you some insight. And if you have any questions, please drop them down in the comments section. I hope that this is helpful, gives you some idea about what's happened, where have I been, and why. But yeah, let's let's have a look. Okay. Okay, I hope, had I added that to the stage? Did y'all see that? It was Dr. Tracy Marks talking about the 3 sure signs that you have depression, which would be low mood. I talked about that, not having energy. Gosh. Indecisiveness. I hadn't told y'all about that, but I get overwhelmed pretty easily. That was part of the reason why, another reason why I haven't been able to keep up with much of anything, because if it's too many choices, I get overwhelmed. I'll hold my head and I can't focus. I've got to stop. So she said low mood, indecisiveness, and there was another one. Do you remember what it was? Oh, maybe I didn't add it to the stage. Let's go back to it. And remember, I'm still learning how to work this, so please be patient.
Now, a disclaimer here before I go further is be present in people who are clinically depressed, and they are low motivation in combination with fatigue, hopelessness or helplessness, and indecisiveness. Now, a disclaimer here before I go further is depression comes with a number of symptoms that cause a certain level of impairment in your day-to-day functioning. I talk about what it means to have functional impairment in this video. So I'm not saying that if you have one of these in isolation, that you have depression. I'm only saying that people with depression usually have one of these along with several other symptoms like sleep problems, irritability, inability to enjoy things, trouble focusing, etc. So let's take a closer look at these. Low motivation with fatigue is usually what's responsible for people feeling like they're unable to get out of bed or do other important things. I've had people who've doubted that their loved one was depressed say, "I don't think he's depressed, he's just lazy." Lying in bed all day may look that way, but it's really hard for a non-depressed person to lie in bed unstimulated all day. And the operative term here is unstimulated. Sure, I can lie in bed and binge watch half a season of Breaking Bad, but that's entertainment. A depressed person may lie in bed with the television on, but they'll often say that they don't know what they watched because they weren't paying attention.
So, yeah, that happens with me. I kind of alluded to that earlier on. So that is a symptom that I experience. With YouTube, if you're watching videos, you have to pause and give some commentary as not to strike your channel. But I wanted you all, my hope and prayer is that this gives you some insight and it's beneficial to both those of us that suffer from a mood disorder, in this case depression, and those of us who don't, but we know someone or love someone who does. Let's go back to the video and continue. I just wanted to say that I have number 1.
Often in those cases, the television is just to feel like someone's around and they're either asleep or ruminating in their head about negative situations.
Definitely me.
Another distinction between this and laziness is not wanting to do something. With depression, you can't do it. And it's not because your legs aren't working or there's something wrong with your body. In your head, everything is hard and takes a tremendous effort. So for example,
So I wanted to talk about that. In your head, everything is hard and takes a tremendous effort. What that means for me, It takes a lot of effort for me to make a phone call, to go visit someone, to put on clothes, to go to the mailbox. I just can't do it. I struggle currently, even grocery shopping. I knew it was really bad because when I did make it to go grocery shopping, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. During this period of relapse, it's gotten so bad for me that when I have been able to go grocery shopping, which is difficult, I completed the task and I use those those insulated shopping bags that you can get. So anyway, I packed my groceries in there, but I did everything I could. It was everything I could do to get inside and lay the bag down at the door. That shopping bag and those groceries sat in that shopping bag until I used the groceries. I only had a few things that needed to be refrigerated. I was able to refrigerate those, put them in the refrigerator after a few hours. But that was all the energy that I had. On the outside looking in, at this stage, I'm at this age and stage of life in my mood disorder. It looks a lot different now than it did when I was younger, but I can be functionally depressed if you don't have a keen eye and don't know what to look for. But it's basically low mood and low energy. But let's get back to the video. So this does apply to me. Yeah, I resonate with that.
Depressed person can tell you that they're getting up in a minute, and you can come back in an hour though, and maybe half of their body is off of the bed while they're staring up at the ceiling, waiting for the next surge of energy to get the rest of the way up. As an outsider, you say, "What are you doing? I thought you were getting up." And she says, "I am, just give me a minute." You say, "I gave you an hour. Just get up and come on." The lazy person wouldn't be staring at the ceiling for an hour. The lazy person would still be in the bed on TikTok saying, "Never mind, I don't feel like it. You go ahead. I'll do it later, maybe." Getting out of bed is just one example of this. With really low motivation combined with fatigue, you may not be bathing regularly or doing the basic self-care stuff because not only do you not have the energy, but you don't really care. It's hard to muster the care.
You remember I told y'all, I've already told you I struggle with that. So here, Dr. Tracy Marks speaks about how that is difficult to muster the care and the desire to do things. But I had already told you all that I struggle with the daily activities of living. There are 5 of them. You can look them up on the internet to see what they are. Let's continue.
Desire to do things even though logically you know it's important.
Let me guess. You're thinking about going to therapy. And as a therapist myself, of course I'm going to say that's a great idea.
You don't dispute that. You just can't pull it together to execute. Of course, there are different degrees of this. Not getting out of bed at all is one extreme, but a less extreme form of this can be failing to follow through on obligations. You ultimately follow through, but you're slow, late, or produce low quality end products because of the poor effort you put into it. And that poor effort is not because you like to cut corners, it's because that's just all you've got. Next is hopelessness or helplessness.
So I want to talk about a little bit that you can oftentimes be late, no follow through, not because you don't want to, but it's really an energy thing. And maybe some of that has to do with tonight's live stream. Yes, although it had been disappeared, frankly, I was doing all I can to log on to get here. By the time I got here to see. Anyway, yeah. So that's the first one. We talk about low mood and fatigue. I have that symptom. And the second one is hopelessness or helplessness. I do struggle with that and am struggling with that currently. Let's take a listen to what Dr. Tracy Marks says about that. Hopefully you're learning. Do you find this beneficial? Hopefully you do. Hopefully you can find this beneficial. Okay, let's go back to it.
Hopelessness is like a precursor to feeling like, why am I even alive? With the motivation issue, everything is hard. With hopelessness, everything is futile. It has no point. Or another version of it is you could believe that you'll never get better. You will never feel good again. And you can believe this even if you've had 5 other examples of getting depressed in the past and recovering. But each and every time, it feels like this time is different. I will never see the light at the end of this tunnel because someone has blown up the tunnel and it's closed. Helplessness makes you feel incapable of doing anything for yourself. It's like you've been stripped of all of your defenses and left metaphorically naked and vulnerable to the elements of life. It's a horrible feeling. Imagine yourself being tied up and left on a highway with oncoming traffic. You're just waiting to be run over. What's it going to feel like? How bad is it going to hurt when you're finally hit? This state of mind can bring a lot of anxiety to your depressed state. The third telltale sign.
So I hope that helps. Is that beneficial to anybody? To explain hopelessness and helplessness. I do experience that currently. Like, why does it matter? It's not going to get better. And that's a reason when someone says they're fighting for their life, they're fighting to get out of that. Because we know if you're a person of great faith, that this too shall pass. In that that it is also a spiritual warfare. You can know that, but in the midst of it, it can become overwhelming. But let's go back to the third thing. Telltale sign of depression is indecisiveness.
Sign of depression is indecisiveness. If you look at the criteria for depression in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, this symptom is grouped with thinking and concentration problems. With depression, the inability to make a decision is partly related to problems with your focus and problem solving. But in one of the studies that I have listed in the...
You remember I said that I have a problem with focusing? And I also have a problem with indecisiveness. I remember I had went to visit my mom and she wanted, I was detached and I had only planned to stay there for just a few moments to go by and visit and leave because I knew I didn't have the energy for much more. She wanted to go for a walk, get something to eat. I said, okay. Then it went to, she kept asking me all these questions about what I wanted to do. I was not able to make a decision. Do you want to do this? Okay. Or do you want to do that? I'm fine, whatever you decide. So, yes, indecisiveness. That's an example of indecisiveness. That's one example, but there are many. Let's go back to the video.
The description, researchers saw that trouble making decisions was related to not being able to see the reward for your effort. It's like you can't appreciate what's on the other side of the decision, so you can't think through weighing options or dealing with the outcome of your decision.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to everything feels hard. You can easily become overwhelmed with having to think about options. And that can translate to not being able to get started with a plan.
You remember I talked about becoming overwhelmed? I'm glad she's making a lot of sense. I hope this is helpful to somebody. Actually, I don't have much more energy to continue, but I wanted to jump on here and let you know what I'm struggling with. I hope this has been helpful. We'll go for a little while longer, but I'm probably going to get out of here. Is there anybody else out here that can relate or experiences something like this? Let's go back to the video.
The effort that it takes to analyze the situation and forecast how the decision affects you is just too much to work through. Another aspect of the indecision can be doubting yourself so much that you don't trust your judgment. All of these symptoms can and should get better with depression treatment, but indecision is one of the symptoms that can linger to some degree even after other symptoms improve. In fact, the researchers in that 2015 study saw that remaining indecisive after all of your other symptoms improved was a risk factor for relapsing or having your depression return within 6 months of getting off of your medication. People who were more decisive stayed in remission longer. We don't know exactly why this indecisiveness makes such a difference in outcome, but it may be that being indecisive can be distressing and cause problems for you.
Remember again that YouTube requires me to play the video for a little bit, stop, give some commentary, which is what I'm attempting to do. Again, I came on here to give y'all an insight and update on what's going on with the channel, why you haven't heard from me. Prayerfully, these 3 things have helped you with understanding that. So yeah, let's go back to the video.
It can make you feel uneasy that you can't get things done because you're still struggling with execution because you can't make a plan.
Mm-hmm.
People around you can get annoyed that you just can't do what you need to do when you have all of the resources right there in front of you. Just do it. One way to make this better is to get a friend or therapist to help you break down situations and decisions into smaller issues that are easier to think through. You can lose perspective with depression and have unrealistic expectations that you can't meet. And not meeting these expectations perpetuates a feeling of failure and hopelessness.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get help making...
I can relate with that. Not meeting your goals set or expectations does contribute to Yes, it's a sign of indecisiveness, but it then cycles back to the hopelessness and helplessness and the judgment that you get from others, um, who don't understand why you're not getting things done. Not only do they not understand, but they're quite judgmental and harsh. Um, so let's go back to that. Go back to see what Dr. Tracy Marks says.
Easier and more reasonable goals and plans that you can follow through with, then you collect small wins along the way that can reinforce a positive image of yourself. And a positive image of yourself gives you the momentum you need to make bigger and more significant decisions. If you're not sure what depression looks like, take a look at this video.
Alrighty, so we're done with that. I hope that was helpful on the 3 signs that most depressed people have. I have all 3. Hope that's been beneficial to you. I want to bring this to a close by sharing the following things with you. Here's what the Lord brought to my attention. Well, I want to leave people better than I found them and make a difference in people's lives. To create a community of like-minded people, so that we can be there for one another. What I recognized, there are 3 things that you can do to help someone who struggles with the mood disorder, and particularly if you've not heard from them, or when you do hear from them, something seems off. In the midst of relapse, oftentimes we're not able to take care of ourselves. One of the things that you can do is to provide food. Maybe order something and have it delivered to them, or come over and offer to cook, or prepare a meal or a few meals at home and bring it over to them that's portioned in those meal prep containers. That's one thing that would be very helpful. Another would be when someone is in relapse of their mood disorder, their surroundings is chaos. They're unable to maintain it or keep up with it. So the second thing you can do is to either come over and help clean their space and organize it, because actually your space, your living space, when you suffer from mood disorder, is representative to what's going on with you emotionally, mentally, spiritually, inside. So it would be a great help if you could come over and help that person clean their space. And if you can't help them clean their space, maybe if you can afford to pay for a cleaning service, that would be a great help, because when your place is clean and orderly, it helps with your mood. So one of the things you can do is help the person with food so that they don't have to cook or shop. The second thing that you can do to help the person that you care for who is in the midst of relapse of their mood disorder is helping them with their living space. Either you can come over and help them clean and organize, or maybe provide a gift card. And actually, because remember, indecisiveness is a thing that you would actually call and arrange for someone to come clean up, because it's difficult for us to make phone calls. That would be for whether it's to call to make an appointment to see someone, calling, ordering food. Those things are difficult and overwhelming. And the third thing that you can do to be beneficial, I don't remember. But here are the three things the Lord put on my heart that I want to start for this community. I want to create a community where we would provide a fund, where we would contribute to food, that we would contribute to I've lost focus. Food, see, but I want you to see what it looks like. Transparency. Oh, helping someone clean their space, housekeeping. And the next thing is there's this website that Mark Cuban has for medicine, for your prescription medicine. And he takes the middle man out. It's called Cost Plus Drugs. And there you can go there and put in you can get your medicine for a very low price. I want to be able to contribute to helping people pay for their medicine to stay healthy and well for those in the community of mood disorders. So those are the three things that the Lord put on my heart that would be, I think, a benefit to those of us that struggle. Food, housekeeping, medicine, a fund that we can contribute to help one another. Anyway, yeah, so that's that. I think I'm gonna go. I hope this makes sense to someone. It's not organized. It is heartfelt and personal. A lot of times I'll use this scripture for myself, which is a motivation for myself. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And there are a lot of times I'll create something and end with that because I'm really speaking to myself as I may encourage someone else. I think what I'm going to do, we'll just let this channel reveal itself naturally. And it is what it is. It's not what it's not. And if it resonates with you, awesome. And if it doesn't, I understand. But I'm going to sign off now because this is a lot. Anyway.